evening. This is Brother Benson Media, and today is on a Saturday. We are blessed to have this opportunity just to have a discussion of what has been happening over the week and specifically today during the day. I want to take this opportunity to welcome all our viewers, starting with our good friend, Good Ear or Gypsy Corner. Thank you so much for finding time to come and to join us this evening. We really appreciate. To our viewers who are watching for the first time, kindly like and subscribe. This is Brother Benson Media, and here we say that your opinion counts. Before we get into the topic of today, allow me to welcome Mr. Miguda. Mr. Miguda, you can come and tell us vile how you are doing today, and possibly say hi to our viewers.
Hello, everyone. Hope all of you are doing good. I'm all good here, and hopefully that we are going to have a very good interaction. Back to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Miguda, for also finding time to join us this evening. We really appreciate. And I just wanted us to start straight away to the discussion that we are having tonight, where Kalonzo says, "Never betray what Raila stood for." That is part of what we want to discuss tonight. And also, we saw a move by Winnie Odinga, James Orengo, acknowledging the presence of Babu politically. What does that mean? Those amongst others are what we want to discuss tonight, as we'll be giving our views. And just to give a glimpse of what we are going to discuss about tonight, of course, the trending, where the Raila Odinga's sister, that is Beryl Achieng Odinga, was laid to rest today. And Beryl Lilian Achieng Odinga was the sister to former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. Was buried today at Kango Kajaramogi, that is in Bondo, Siaya County. And of course, the family chose to bury at the Jaramogi Family Cemetery. Of course, this has also brought a lot of discussion where, people, some Luos are giving their different version of how this burial was supposed to be handled. And there are some people are saying that this is breaking with the Luo tradition that typically require women to be buried at their matrimonial homes. Of course, we saw Senator Buru Odinga, that is the party leader of ODM, defending the decision, saying that the family had long agreed to be buried together at the site established by their father, that is Jaramogi Oginga. Those, of course, and part of what we want to discuss tonight. And also, we saw family appeal where Raila Jr. and, of course, other family members appeal to the public for financial support to help cover the funeral expenses, citing the back-to-back losses the family had endured. Yeah, so Mr. Miguda, first, before we get into uh, the political scenarios, I'll give you a chance to just give view of what we think about the barrier that was taking place before we get into the political bit.
First, I would like to say many people might have their opinions concerning the burial rights of burial. All in all, you have to agree that it is a family decision. Sometimes it is also a personal decision. You can decide as a person to pen down your will and last testimony, or now you'll write your burial rites to be conducted when you are gone. But sometimes it's also within the family to arrive at a decision of take care of your rights when you're gone. In the circumstances of what happened today from the family, many people might have a say or people might comment, but basically, it is you and family who can decide what to do with your final rights. Although we came from culture and we preserve culture and identity, but sometimes it is quite important to recognize that if that culture is not consistent with the basic rights and fundamental freedoms, for instance, in the olden days, you find out that when someone committed an offense in a society, maybe somebody stole, has been accused of robbery violence, that person also might have committed murder. The consequences could be one, someone could be banished, like exiled from the community, or two, the consequences, someone could be buried alive. You understand, if someone committed a crime and you bury that person alive, it's going to interfere with the right to life of that person. You're going to take someone's life. So no one should be killed, or the life of somebody should not be taken in a way that is not according to how it should be in the case someone died. To me, sometimes when culture is going to make things difficult, for instance, if you follow culture, you're going to die, you abandon the culture, then you live freely. If you follow culture and going to break your leg, you avoid culture, then you reserve your leg. Having said that, I just want to conclude by saying that all in all, you find out that sometimes we, the public, we can speak, but the sole decision is based with the family. It is the family or the person can decide on what to do with the right finals. You understand that culturally, a daughter should be buried where she is married in the low cultural. But you understand the story of the late burial, Zimbabwe, back and forth, divorce, and ETL. In circumstances, so what do you do? We have lost a body. Could we keep on doing one, two, three? We just find somewhere to bury the body. But even remember Raila Odinga having his own home. He was taken back to his father's home to be buried. And actually, Raila Odinga was buried in the middle of the homestead. You understand? He was not even buried in the graveside where you find there were in the graveside you find people like Fidel. Makubura, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Proceed.
Makubura?
Proceed. Proceed. Miguda. I don't know whether Miguda has a problem with the.
I don't know what's.
Can you hear me? Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Allow me to give a background scene at, of course, Kango Kajaramogi. Of course, Kango Kajaramogi is more than a burial site. It's currently a symbol of low political heritage. Of course, this is where the late vice president, the first vice president of the Republic of Kenya, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, and of course, the founding father was buried. And something else that we can note about this particular place is that the site has become a political pilgrimage ground, especially for ODM supporters and those who revered the Odinga family. We've seen quite a number of people visiting this particular area, not once but several times. all those people who knew Raila at whichever level, we've seen quite a number of visits in this particular place, and it's more of a museum, or just like I'd called it, it's a political pilgrimage ground, if I can say so. And there has been questions why Beryl, who is the sister of Raila, was being buried at their home. Of course, we understand that the cultures of Luo do not allow, especially those people who have been married, the ladies, to be buried within their ancestral home. And this is part of, all those things that people are asking whether it is right, being that Raila Amolo Odinga, of course, together with the Jaramogi family, have been advocating for the culture, Luo cultural behaviors, or Luo cultural heritage. And burial, of course, burying burial there, according to his brother, that is the senator. We can call it that it reinforces the Odinga's centrality in Luo politics. And then we saw quite a number of verbal attack from the leaders, and not just leaders, but even the Luo people who have interacted with how issues to do with burial are supposed to be held. Miguda, you can proceed. We lost you at some point.
Okay, I'm sorry for that. What I was trying to explain is that there are people who are actually want to make it look like they know it all. Of course, there's culture, we understand, but there's some circumstances whereby family might make a decision that for us as a family, we have identified our gravesite. You don't need to compel them not to do what they want to do because we are in a liberal. That's why I told you Raila Odinga was supposed to be buried at Opoda farm in his home state, but he was taken back to the Kanka Jaramogi Nyamira in the middle of the homestead next to Jaramogi. So to me, I can say people can argue many things, but of course, we have to understand this what we call postmodern, whereby people have evolved. Like I've told you, a very good example. Initially, when you kill someone in a community, the consequences was death. But right now, we even said in our constitution that any law that is inconsistent with the Kenyan system, and more so the Bill of Rights and Fundamental Freedoms, that law which is not consistent, it is inconsistent to the extent of inconsistency. So even if you're applying what we call African customs laws, whenever you are applying the African customary law and there's any consequences that is going to violate the Bill of Rights, is going to be inconsistent with the Constitution, that law is inconsistent. It is not applicable. It is repugnant. What am I trying to explain here is that if there is any applicability that if I follow customs and that custom is going to interfere with my life, then I'll not follow that custom. If that custom is going to interfere with, for instance, my financial, I don't follow that custom. So sometimes customs are applicable and preserved, but they should not subject you to death. You should not do something to die that because the culture dictates, now I must die as a culture person. No, we are saying no. is just like what we read from the holy book, the Bible, as Christians. That for me, as a Sabbath keeper, if my cattle get into a ditch on a Sabbath day, I should not let it there to die because of the Sabbath. I'll make sure that I sort it out, because Sabbath was made for man, not man for Sabbath. And the God of Sabbath is Christ, not you, not we, the human beings. That's why I'm saying, according to me, culture was made for man, not man for culture. And the supreme for culture is also the sovereign, but not we. So, in any circumstances whereby me applying culture is going to destroy my coexistence, then let culture be and apply what is applicable. Like in this case, I don't know how much the details of the burial, but as things are right now, she's dead. We want to bury her. Should we go and resolve the issues with the former husbands, or should we take her back to Zimbabwe? But we must look for her a site to bury her, and that's the Kanka Jaramogi. So there's nothing wrong. This issue of some people trying to be the intellects of culture to understand that they want to dictate for other families, that is very wrong. But what we can say that even all those things has been said and are done. Buried was buried at Kanka Jaramogi. Raila was buried at his father's homestead. Nothing is wrong. People, life is moving on as usual. So sometimes you should not tie yourself to culture. You should look at the postmodern, like the issue of burying people in 72 hours or as fast as reasonably possible is something that is applicable right now. There's things you can apply. Those times in the olden days, people had time. There were no even morgues. People could mourn. You understand? There were no diseases. With the contemporary setup right now, we have to catch up with the time. So, Makobura, it is very complicated, but that's what's making it very interesting. So, the more it is complicated, the more it's becoming very interesting. I just want to conclude by saying I got absolutely no issue. I got absolutely no issue to oppose what families stated. Absolutely no issue. Once someone is dead, we should only consider on how to bury that person. Final. All those shenanigans, sideshows, the conservatives, the culture heroes, those are now stories we are making. The people who are loud about culture, whatever, they don't even contribute. Even that woman who was speaking on TikTok, she never contributed anything in that funeral, but she's too loud, speaking a lot of things. In fact, look, the people who are loud about reservation, conservatives, they don't even contribute a coin into your final rights, but they know everything. Watch out. So to me, what I can say is that let the soul of Beryl Odinga and Right Honorable Raila Odinga and even Jaramogi Odinga rest in peace. Those things we should not consider. That's my conclusion. I just want to enlighten people that it is not a do die. We are not tied to culture. We have not been crucified to culture. So, and even Christ told us that it is not the law, it is not man for law, but law was made for man. And he emphasized that he never even came to destroy Mosaic law, but he came to fulfill them. But finally, she concluded by saying, amongst 10 commandments, there is only one that is left, and that is love. And commandment number 1 to 4 talked about union between man and God. And from 5 to 10, talk about between man and man. And he concluded categorically that now, listen, do only one, love. And he simplifies them into 2 forms. Love your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And finally, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Love your fellow human being as you love yourself. So the entire thing is love. So we should stick to those things, love. And even Jesus Christ was modern than us because he concluded by saying love. So to me, let us love one another. Let us respect.
Okay. Thank you so much. I don't know what has happened to Miguda, and he has just dropped. As I'll be waiting for him, allow me to just give a small view on what happens about the culture. Of course, a woman buried at her father's home. In Luo culture, women are traditionally buried at their husband's homestead. Exceptions are rare and, of course, are often controversial. That is why we saw quite a lot in this particular one. And, there is some rumors or some statement that Beryl was unmarried, which may have influenced the decision. But the public debate around this choice reveals deeper tension, of course, between tradition and the modernity. And if you remember a statement by Oburu Oginga, that the family agreed to be buried together. And of course, this could be read as an effort to consolidate the Odinga legacy in one sacred place. This move, of course, might also be a symbolic assertion of matriarchal inclusion in an historically patriarchal of the dynasties, if I'm not wrong. So that is why that has been happening, and that is why there has been a lot of questions around that. And so, Miguda, I'll allow me to get straight to the politics now. We saw quite a number of political class. We saw Dr. Kalonzo Musyoka, the former Vice President of the Republic of Kenya. We saw Eugene Wamalwa. We saw the Cabinet Secretary. Um, we saw quite a number of leaders, of course, including senators, governors, members of parliament, amongst others. And of course, politics played. And I would like us to just get straight to the comments of Senator of Homa Bay, that is Mr. Kajwang. He came, and while he was giving his speech, he did mention that Baba didn't tell them, or Baba reminded them, that is Raila Amolo Odinga, that they are not supposed to insult or talk bad about Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka. And he also reminded the people that maybe there's something that Raila talked, or a discussion that Raila had with Kalonzo, that he should come and clarify. That, of course, amongst others, we saw Winnie Odinga also standing, giving a speech, and while giving a speech, she did acknowledge the presence of Babu Owino, one who has been excluded mostly in the political arena of late, and specifically whenever ODM issues are being discussed or whenever ODM members are giving their view. And that, of course, brings me to this question. What is your view on the senator of Homa Bay's comments politically? And what does that tell you? Does it mean that ODM still has a chance to work with Kalonzo Musyoka, because he did mention that they have no problem and anything is still possible over there, as much as they were left in the broad-based, but they were told, given instructions not to insult or to talk negative about Kalonzo. And then we saw Kalonzo stood also. He talked about similar things and said that very soon he'll come out to give a view of what they discussed with Raila Odinga. What does that mean politically, and what exactly were they speaking about, Mr. Migud?
I have a view, two views, but different approach. First, I want to say politicians can say anything for convenience. Maybe they can use that platform to speak good of Kalonzo and also to who Kalonzo to their side. It's about convenience. Whatever they say there can't be substantiated to be factual or not. Number two, I dislike this idea whereby each and every time a person is given a microphone to speak, he uses Baba as introduction. That Baba told us, Baba said this. The question we are asking, what about you? You can't speak minus Baba. You, what is right for you in this country? You, what is right for you? Transform this country minus Baba. We can't keep on calling Baba's name every time that when you are given opportunity to express your opinion or even convey your condolence, Baba told me, Baba told us, Baba was alive, if Baba could be here. We need to get you without referring to Baba. As Moses, how can he persuade the people to follow Kalonzo? What are the attributes that can make him persuade his followers? This issue of people using Baba as a savior politically, even in his grave, should be noticed by electorates. That's why me, I dislike that habit, and I'm opposed to that idea that each and every person.
Migud, are you there? Okay, thank you. Allow me to acknowledge, of course, the presence of Goodyear Actuary Okush. Thank you so much for finding time to join us. I also saw a good friend, Judith Caretha also was here. Thank you so much, Judith, for finding time to join us. We really appreciate. And just remind you that this is Brother Benson Media, and over here we say that your opinion counts. We really appreciate your time, Mr. Miguda.
Yeah, I also could say that's not that culture should end, whereby people refer to Baba every time, because it's like you cannot think as a leader, you cannot be creative as a leader, you cannot be visionary without mentioning Baba. We need leaders who can be visionary by themselves, who can be creative and think for themselves at that particular time for the betterment of this country. But this issue of each and every time when we turn on our TV stations on the political side, Baba, Baba, Baba. So no one can speak for himself.
I don't know what's wrong with the Miguda's internet, because apparently keeps dropping. Just maybe for me to give my view on what I saw of the comments of Senator of Homa Bay. He did acknowledge the presence, of course, of Kalonzo and the many times that Kalonzo stood with Raila and the political fights that they had together. Of course, if you remember, Kalonzo not once but several times, came out and sacrificed, not once, of course, but several times, supported Raila Amolo Odinga. At some point, they had agreed that he would be supported, but since it was the demand of the people, he came and, most of time supported Raila. That, of course, gave him a good relationship or made him to have a good relationship with majority of people who are coming from the lowland and specifically the supporters of Raila Amolo Odinga. And today, seeing the senator reminding the people that they have kind of a debt or they have a good uh, remembrance about Kalonzo Musyoka and also urging Kalonzo that they still know and the people still knows the many times that he stood firm and assisted Raila Amolo Odinga. But again, when Kalonzo also stood, he did remind the people that, well, as much as everybody is coming out to do or to say that Raila gave them or Raila told them to do one or two or three, he also said that he was a close friend to Raila Amolo Odinga. And that, of course, meant that they had quite a lot that they shared together. And that is part of what he came and clarified. Of course, he did say that in the near future, he'll also come out and give a clarification of what or the plans that they had with Raila. Not forgetting, he also reminded the people of ODM and the supporters that Raila's wish was that, of course, he left the ODM to the broad based, but again, his wish was that in 2027 the ODM party would be on the ballot. Those are some of the comments that Kalonzo Musyoka did make, and of course, not forgetting, we saw Winnie Odinga also giving a speech, and when she stood, she got or she received a lot of love from the people who celebrated her. And of course, one thing that stood or one thing that we remember is that she didn't forget to mention the name of Babu Owino. And this is a question that I would want you, Megoda and Brother Benson, to give your view on. Why do you think Winnie stood and, of course, did acknowledge the presence of Babu Owino? Similar thing was done by the governor of Siaya as well. So, Brother Ben, first I'll give you a chance to give your overview of what happened at the funeral and why the question has been why Beryl was buried at their father's home, and not just that, it is against, according to what other people are saying, the traditions of the Luos. And again, you'll give us your view on the political side. That is the comment of Kalonzo, the comment of Winnie, and the senator of Homa Bay. Brother Ben?
Okay, asante sana. Mi ndaanza na mila. It is not against the tradition of the Luo. It is only against the tradition of the Luo if to say Beryl was married, you know, and she was not remarried again. Happens. I want to give you a picture. In Luo community, what usually happens is this. If you get married and you divorce your husband, yeah, you can be buried, especially at your grandfather's place, homestead, because in Luo, your grandfather's homestead is like your husband. And if you do not have your grandfather, you might be buried in between your homestead and the homestead of the father. You are buried on the other side of the fence. It usually happens. But the case for Beryl was married. First of all, was married and he had kids with the first husband. Then they divorced and she then got married again, remarried in in Zimbabwe. So if the family feels that even the Zimbabwe people, they don't bury her in Zimbabwe, it is okay for her to be buried, yeah, in the homestead. If you look at where the homestead, the burial site of Oginga's family, it is outside the fence of the Jaramogi's place. Yeah, I don't know whether you visited that place. It's not within the fence. There's a fence that is kind of like outside the fence of the homestead if you visit the place. So there's nothing wrong with that because she already divorced on the other side. Now, that is what I understand by that. And somebody will tell you, but people will tell you that is not right. But she was not buried in the homestead. Alizikwa pali ile fence iko nje ama pali wametenga maalum ya kuzika hiyo. Now let's come to when I want to look at the overview of the entire event. If you're very keen enough, the entire event, the ODM cracks still was seen. We have the wing of James Orengo, Winnie, and the Babu. And also we had the wing of Mombasa Governor Oburu Odinga. There are those who are still advocating for broad-based government and those who are not advocating for broad-based government. That was there. We also saw a situation whereby mobilization of some youths, especially to cheer support, especially when the newly elected member of parliament came, there was that cheering that made Ruth, especially she did not feel good. And they feel in some way that they were hired. And you can even, so you saw even Ida came out very hungry and bitter and had to take the control of the youths who were heckling then or who were shouting to welcome the member of parliament. That also was there. Now, let's come to Winnie Odinga. Two things about Winnie Odinga that happened. Winnie Odinga seems to be somebody who was very close to Raila Odinga. And today has been confirmed because he talked about lineage of the Odingas from Wanga. And remember, every time that there was a function in Luo land, Raila would talk about the history of the Luo. And he will explain very well. And that is something that Winnie did today. It tells you that Winnie knows more about the Jaramogi lineage, more even than the family. That I would even see how Ida was looking and staring at her when she was talking about that. Winnie also talked about freedom, especially for the young people, that you need to listen to them. Even if you disagree with them, give them a platform and listen to them. Secondly, Winnie also has recognized the presence of Babu Owino, and he said that is one of us, is my friend again, and is one of us. And that one tells you again, it comes again to the ODM. Winnie tend to reason very well with the sediments of Orengo, Edwin Sifuna, Babu Owino. Yeah. And remember, when Emilio Diambo just mentioned the name of Babu, and Winnie spoke after Emilio Diambo, because she requested to take some of the time that was allocated to mom just to recognize Babu. This is the second time he's recognizing Babu after Emilio Diambo. So it tells you that the ODM, the way it stands, there are still major cracks, and in the future it will crack. There are those who will go with the young people like Winnie Odinga, and there's those who will go with those who pro-government. Secondly, it also tells you that Winnie is positioning herself in the politics. Any opportunity that she's granted, she has to speak what the crowds want to hear. She first of all studied the mood of the crowd. And what does she speak? She speaks what the crowds wants to hear. And that one puts some other elected leaders, especially those who tend not to speak what the crowd speaks. Two, look at the absence of Junet Mohammed. It speaks volume. Remember, at ODM at 20, there's something that Winnie said that I congratulate everybody who has made this one happen, but not Junet. How could Junet mesh in this special occasion if he was the right hand man for Baba? Remember, this is sibling to Raila Odinga from the same mother, same father. And Junet was saying that he was a friend. I don't think like he was supposed to miss this. So that one also sent a signal. What Otieno Kajwang says, Moses Kajwang, also sends a signal. Moses Kajwang said this, that everybody has been speaking about what Baba told them, but you've not told us what Baba told you. But the only problem we have with you is that some of the friends that you're associating with. But we recognize you. You see that? So there's so much that is happening in that, in terms of the leadership and the friendship. But Kalonzo tends to have a soft spot, especially in the Luo Nyanza and Odinga's family. So is Kalonzo to play his politics well. That is my take.
Be good. What is your take on the same?
Yeah,
Before we move?
yeah. I was concluded by the two. First, let me say from where I stopped that we can't keep on saying Baba told me, Baba told us. And if in case Baba said those things, they were valid then, not now. Because we can't operate in a way whereby if there's no Baba's brain, people no longer think. People still refer to what are you telling us today? Baba said, but now you. What are you telling us about the governance? That's what we want to get from them. Let them not use references. Let them also tell us what they know about what Baba said, about themselves, not about each and every time Baba said, and even you tell us what Baba told you. And Kalonzo is even promising that I'll tell people what Baba told me. But Kalonzo, what are you telling us? That's the question I'm asking me myself. Kalonzo, what is your statement? Because Baba is normal. You must start living with the fact that Baba will not be there. Because tomorrow there will be high cost of living. Will you say that Baba come and lead us demonstration? Kalonzo come out and lead the demonstration. Tomorrow there will be huge scandals. Will you go to Karen to bring Baba to for press conference? Kalonzo come to the press conference and tell us about the scandals. So you should start living by yourself, not through Baba. And the issue of Winnie Odinga, I just want to point out two things. One, Winnie Odinga is trying to embrace everybody because there are people in ODM who are actually have cast the die. And I'm laughing at them because me of late, I'm following the script of Mama Ada. Mama Ada told us about politicians because, me, I tend to trust Mama Ada because she lived with that political enigma for a quite long time. So when she spoke anything about politics, I believe her because she knows exactly what she's telling us. She talks about interest in politics. She talks about enmity, friends. She talks about free enemy. And right now, you find out that there are people who already have made Babu Owino to be their enemy. I'm just laughing at them. You don't need to create enemies in politics. Remember, Winnie is embracing Babu. that Babu is one of us. He is my friend. And the cousin, Jaokoburo Dinga, has never even embraced Babu Owino. Jaokoburo Dinga has been just running elter skelter in Bunge la Wananchi from one to the other, preaching about economic transformation, but not even embracing his fellow friends. And you know what is happening in ODM, where everybody is against Babu Owino. So we are glad when Baba's daughter has actually come out to recognize, because why do you want to chase Babu? Babu has been even defending Raila 2017 and 22. Actually, he almost lost his Embakasi parliamentary seat because of defending Raila when he was alleged to have abused the former president. You understand these things? And he has been leading demonstration in Nairobi, Mandamanos, organizing. He has been organizing goons to lead the Baba in the demonstration. Why is it that right now they want to kick him? What Winnie did is a clear demonstration that she's working for her future politics, because the politics of embracement. You know, Baba usually embrace even his enemies. So I think that is quite good. And also there are a section of people who who are trying to measure Babu with Boyd Were, that because Boyd Were is 27 years old, because Boyd Were is the youngest MP right now she can match Babu Owino. No, that is far fetched. She can't match Babu Owino. And people are trying to make it so that when he arrives in the funeral, people makes for him noise to make him popular. That is now outsmarting Babu. Those cards being played with Wanga cannot work. So what I want to say is that what we should understand as a people, there's always the right thing, and as a leaders, stand for the right thing. And even if you get an opportunity to teach the world what Lucky Duba used to sing in one of his albums, that you must teach the world right. So you must also stand for the right things in politics so that you can be consistent. Not today you are speaking a different language from what you said previously. That's why Winnie is advancing these people, because Winnie has been consistent. That kuna watu wataka kuuza chama, let us go back to the people. Babu is my friend. So Winnie is consistent about people, 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 unity, togetherness. But today you are about unity. Tomorrow you are about your self-interest, because you have been appointed the CS. Now you have abandoned the people. You are now advocating for the bad governance, impunity. You are now advocating for impunity because you are a CS. We should understand that we should be very consistent, and if you are joining leadership role, you should have a cause that, as for me, I want to transform the lives of the people. As for me, I want to defend the human rights. As for me, I want to defend the public finance for the public. But do not just enter in leadership to be a choir, to enter into a choir, to be a praise and worship. That your work is just to praise and worship each and every time. I think that's where we are getting it wrong, because you will just want to praise and worship team, but you know exactly that this is the right thing. Like for instance, today, let me ask, what offense did Babu committed by God? Nothing. But some people are just by decided that Babu should not even be near ODM, should not be near Odinga family. But it's quite very interesting, because the same Odinga family recognizes Babu. And you know what Mama Ida told Winnie, my sweetheart. So if the sweetheart of Odinga has recognized Babu, so who are you? Anyway, leaders should always be consistent and do the right thing always, not sometimes.
Thank you so much. Allow me to acknowledge the presence of Father Dan, and just allow me to highlight some few comments. Dan is saying, how and why did Winnie add to introduce Babu Owino? Did Ida planned the unfolding by coming up with Raila Jr.'s wife and Winnie. Gypsy Corner is saying that the Shago court is wearing thin. Kalonzo behaves like opportunist. And there's also this comment. We introduced Babu Winnie as a friend indeed, and also has the late Honorable Raila's confidence. Confident. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, good friend, for engaging us at the comment section. We really appreciate. We thank you so much for just finding time to join us this evening. Mr. Miguna, maybe something else that I would want you to just give a clarification on. You saw the comments of James Orengo, the governor of Siaya, coming out, of course, to remind the Luos or the people of Nyanza that as they are not supposed to blindly follow the political class. And he also reminded the political class that they have to go or to work with the people, they have to listen to the people, and that they have to ask, they should have a stand. We saw Wamalo also reminded or almost spoke the same thing, reminding that the ODM party had its identity, and that their identity, of course, is fighting for human rights, and that they should maintain being uh, fighting for the rights of the people, amongst others. The question I'm asking you, Migoda, is what is your views on Orengo's comments, of course, together with Wamalo's comments, of urging the ODM to stand firm and, of course, join the opposition? You'll give us your take on that, and then something else is you can give us a reflection on what you think about the mentioning that Winnie did to Babu Owino. What does that mean? And we saw James Orengo doing the same politically. What does that mean? And then you'll give us your final remarks.
Politically, it means that they are doing the politics of embracement, whereby you bring people together. You don't divide. The unity, the politics of unity, because Babu is also part of the ODM family. Babu is part of them, but why should you isolate him because of his political stand? That is very wrong. We need more people, so bring him on board. You know, Babu is also talented, and by bringing him on, he can play a certain role in politics. There is a number he can play very well, so that number is very important. So it's very good to keep him, according to me, politically. When talked about the issue of James and the people, the reason why it's very quite important to always defend the people is because, particularly the rights of the people, even social and economical rights, human rights, it's because as a leader, you are a representative of the people. Because in a democratic society like what we have right now, most of those leaders who are there, they are our representatives. We elected them to represent us, the primary function. So when we elect you to represent us, you need to represent us fully. We do not owe you any apology or explanations why we demand for you to go and defend our rights. You must. And when we disagree with your decision at the top level, you must come back to us and we give you the correct direction. So when we disagree with the decision, then you keep on going and going. We leave you for distraction. What's happening for Wanga? Wanga keeps on moving without consulting the people. We need issues to discuss with her, but she keeps on just going. So that's up to her. Always remember to engage the people, because it is the people who understand the economic situation of that country at the particular time. Like it is us who understand what's going on through fuel levy, every taxation, including even how we operate with our airtimes on the phone. If you don't engage me, you are just walking. Me, when it come to the final destination, I'll just not vote you in. But what is the what I want to reiterate is that we should stop all this nonsense of hooliganism, violence, hiring youths. And I want to echo what Mamaida said. If you are if you dislike me, cast cast your ballot to remove me in the office. Let us square it at polling station. We don't need to lose lives because of those nonsensical issues, ubabe or siasa. And we need to live with peace, harmony, togetherness as a one people, one Kenya for each and everyone. We should stop this nonsense of tribalism, very nonsense. This nonsense of regionalism or class, that political class and non-political class. Those are the things that are killing us. So I believe that always be the people's representative because we trust you, and even those offices like Parliament building, that's a people's house. How do you betray us in the legislations? You know this law is wrong. This law is by a bad law. You keep on passing them. You keep on passing those bills. Even the judiciary, those are our judiciaries, because even the judiciary that drives its power directly from the people. So even those judges are our representatives. They should represent us very well, including Mr. President. And we don't owe anyone apology or explanation why we demand for accountability. We keep on demanding for accountability. We keep on praising until we get it right. And even when we are not there, the struggle must always continue because that's the language they can understand. And Orengo is saying factual that you can run after Brobe's government, but the people left you long time ago. And when that time comes for the elections, that's when you realize that, oh, you were left long time ago. So you don't need to follow things blindly. You need to always consult concurrence. You do what we call leadership consultation before making a decision by your own thought. You do consultation with the people, then you get it right. Makobura, my final thoughts. First, let me appreciate you for coming to the show and hosting us. Bro Benson, I also want to appreciate Dan, Father Dan, for good comments on the section. And lastly, I would also like to appreciate our good friend, Gudia, for being present and particularly contributing to the comment section. We wish you all the very best until we meet tomorrow. Bye bye.
Thank you so much, good, for also finding time to join us this evening and for giving us your views. We really appreciate. Not forgetting, of course, Brother Benson for also finding time to join us. And, we really appreciate each and every one of you. Of course, uh, we saw so much today. In that particular burial of the late burial, Sister Raila Odinga, where we even saw Kalonzo's remarks on the police brutality. And Eugene Amalo, of course, they did push for NADCO reforms. They were not just eulogizing, but of course, this was a reminder or a call to action from the relevant authorities. Something else that we did see, of course, the funeral became a proxy battleground for the opposition to reclaim the moral authority and, of course, reignite public sympathy, because the comments of Kalonzo, the comments of Amalo were all, of course, all geared towards reigniting public sympathy and, of course, calling upon ODM to come and the join hands. Something else that I can also say is that we saw quite a lot where The late Raila, I mean Raila's wife, that is Ida Odinga, Her Excellency, also stood and gave her view of what they have experienced as a family and the many times that they've been grieving, not forgetting the close relationship that she had with this particular auntie. Not just that, we saw quite a lot, and we are also taking this opportunity to just wish the Odinga family pole na tuwaombee, ndio Mungu azidi kuwa nao na wapee tumaini. Those would be my last remarks. I want to take this opportunity once again, of course, to say a big thank you to Good Year, to Dan, to Judith, and to everyone who joined us this evening. We really appreciate. Just to remind you again that this is Brother Benson Media, and over here we say that your opinion counts. Thank you so much, Good Year. Thank you so much, Laban Mesiani. Laban is coming up when we are closing. Thank you so much, Laban. Tunashukuru. Thank you. We hope that you'll join us again tomorrow. I want to take this opportunity to wish you all a blessed night, a blessed night, a blessed morning, a blessed afternoon, a blessed evening. From wherever you're watching us from, have a blessed night. Thank you, and may God bless you. See you again tomorrow.